as relates to data and improvement of the same is that we've asked that countries across Africa through the African Union that we needed to have national data coordinators, what we popularly call NDCs. These NDCs are going to become more or less the contact persons between the secretariat and countries, so that would help us coordinate a number of things, including data collection, including dissemination of information, including capacity building, and all aspects to do the same, including dissemination of some of the reports which you do have. And these NDCs would work collect data ranging from 4 areas, and when you see the circle around the NDC in the middle, is crash data, is where we want to get data from, hospital forensic, from vital registration, vehicle registry, because this is very important, how many vehicles you do have, academicians in terms of research and related aspects of academia, NGOs, and indeed working towards understanding the road inventory. So those are some of the things which you'd want to have it, and I think as we move along, we'll be building our data around the same, and indeed we have priorities. But better still, if you see on your right, I hope, yeah, that's your right, is that also I've developed that report, road safety data in Africa. This is the inaugural, the first road safety data, and also African Road Safety Observatory have been very instrumental, drove this agenda, working with our partners GRSF, the World Bank, SSCTP, and you see the whole list there. And indeed, I even wrote, if you go into the ASO website and you click on that topic, you see, or rather that title of that book there, Road Safety Data in Africa, is going to show the status of road safety in Africa. And this is part and parcel of the capacity building and sharing data, and very rich data. Definitely working from the beginning, to me, I think that is a very excellent job, but we'll always work towards improvement of the same. Then, yes, so on matters, I talked about ESRA before, and that's what you're seeing, survey of road safety attitudinal reports. And this is one of the areas which you talked about, that we've had it about 12 countries in Africa or so, I think, and globally we've had about 12. And this is an area whereby you could imagine that, you know, some of the things can originate from Africa and spill and spread globally, and this is something fantastic. And this is one of the areas we had discussion during the ministerial conference in Stockholm, Sweden, about I think 2-3 years back. And this is something which will be following through. So ASO is indeed a young baby, but if you count me, it's running, and yet it's supposed to be crawling. And I think that's something commendable, and something which worth, you know, making us move faster and further, you know. So as part and parcel of what you call capacity building, and I think I did mention that before, we've had some number of webinars. For example, in the April 8th of 2021, and probably a year down the line of 2022, we've had a number of webinars on matters touching on safer and cleaner use of vehicles for Africa. As you know, Africa suffers from aspect to do with vehicle not being safe, at the same time not clean, and we've seen some traction of some sort across African countries, courtesy of this, to limit the vehicle, the age of the vehicle getting into the countries because of such things like pollutions, among others. And indeed, this is progress for SSCTV, and indeed all the partners who have been supporting us, or rather progress for ARSO, and all the partners who have been supporting us in this. And this is part and parcel, and we work collaboratively with everyone. And of course, as part and parcel of that, and this is something you need to know, that ASO got an award at some point, Prince Michael International Road Safety Award, because of the work they do, both in Africa and championing matters road safety from all fronts. And this is something which you said, over time, we would want to work towards improvement of the same. So this is congratulations to ASO and team, and indeed all the participants who have played one role or the other. So it's coming to the end. These are some of the reports, and I did mention before that these are important reports which have driven over the short period ASO have been there, despite even the COVID period, which spanned about 2 years, whereby there was no physical meeting, there have been a number of reports, and indeed we ask you to have a look at them in our ASO websites and related partner websites. Africa Status Report on Road Safety of 2020. We also had a report which was done by one of consultants, of course, in keeping with ASO and evaluating country level, issues to do with adherences to data related issues, and especially on the relevant variables. And then road safety strategies for Africa. And this is one of the reports, one of the consultants, one of the players I've seen here, Martin, played a role among his others. So these are some of the things, or some of the progress report we've done over the period whereby we put in the work plan at that particular time. And we look forward to having subsequent work plans and additions and bigger plans for us as we move forward. And as I said, this was within a very short period of probably 2017-18, with an hiatus over COVID situation, and whereby we've had to work offline or online for that matter, and this is progress report. So to me, I think with the nascent young baby stage infancy of ASO, there's been so much progress in this, and this is something which you need to support as all of us partners from Africa, outside, development partners, member states, and everyone for that matter. As they say, road safety is a shared responsibility. So that brings me to the end of the presentation. Thank you so much, and have a safe day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Duncan, for this nice and very interesting presentation. You gave us an overview, a general overview of what we did and what we achieved since we started this big project. I am sure that the future will be very, very nice, and there is lot of things to do. We hope, what we expect maybe is ARSO will be, and the report of ARSO will be the main bridge or link between Africa and WHO, maybe the global status report. The African status report will be a part from of global status report, and we hope to to achieve this goal. And I think we are not far, still 3 countries only, and we can start officially our observatory. And now I invite my colleague, friend Eric from EUC to give his presentation about maybe the current situation and what we are expecting in the next future.
Thank you very much, Benasser. Maybe before I start, I just wanted to sincerely thank the Kingdom of Morocco for giving us this opportunity. In addition to the very consultative and very concise discussion we had yesterday, we have an opportunity to meet as ARSO for the first time after COVID. I think this is something we really need a round of applause to Morocco. Secondly, I wanted to thank personally Benasser as the chair of this interim technical steering committee for the work done so far. Of course, our main partner, SSATP, Haile and your team for the work done, the consultants that have been supporting all of this, and also UNECA, Robert and Placide. I think Benasser has mentioned their practical role, working very closely with AUC to support all of this. So I will give a brief presentation on the status, building from what Duncan presented on the first action plan. I will talk of mainly three things, what we are doing in the action plan 2022-2024, what is the status in terms of the capacity of financing whatever actions we are planning, and also the high-level commitment of the African Union Commission, especially through the Specialized Technical Committee of Ministers of Transport, which currently has adopted in their agenda, which is every 2 years, under the road safety agenda to include also as a discussion. So this is something we are very happy of, and even the last STC meeting has called all remaining member states to sign and ratify the African Road Safety Charter. So my presentation will just talk of the status we are in institutionalization and operationalization of the African Road Safety Observatory. And I think, as the Chair Benasel mentioned, the membership and the operationalization of ARSO has one critical condition of having the African Road Safety Charter ratified. I once again thank Morocco to give us this opportunity, because you've been able to interact with some of the member states who are present in this meeting, especially meeting the high level, the ministers, who can play a critical role back home to make sure these countries ratify. So we've been able to interact with Cameroon and Cote d'Ivoire, and even those who are not here, we are already engaging Rwanda, we are engaging Ghana, targeting on those that have already signed, because after signing, the next step is just to take the instruments to the parliament and get them ratified, and then communicate back to the African Union Commission as instruments of ratification. A third of the instruments of ratification, representing 15 AU states as a minimum, has to be deposited with the AUC chairperson office. So the charter will enter into force once we have the 15 ratifications. But even when we developed the African Road Safety Observatory by law, it has a provision that for it to start operationalization, we need the African Road Safety Charter to be ratified, to enter into force. So in terms of the action plan, again, building on the report, comprehensive report Duncan just presented, some of the actions included, the advocacy for member states to sign and ratify the charter, the annual General Assembly meeting of the ARSO, which was held in 2022, the WHO ARSO collaboration. I think Duncan mentioned all of this. We intend to use the same platform that WHO is using now to have comprehensive data on road safety, improving the data quality, the collection of road safety data, and expanding the network of national road safety coordinators. Because currently, we have only 25 countries that have already nominated their coordinators, and we expect to have all the African states part of this network, because this is very critical for data collection, and as we go for a fully fledged ARSO institutions as adopted by the African Union Commission. Number 4 is African Continental Workshop on Road Safety, the African Road Safety Action Plan for the second decade. This was held on 12 November 2022. And the Dakar Road Safety Congress, this was mentioned as well as part of the advocacy to have more countries ratifying the charter. As we mentioned, we have been having monthly coordination meetings of ARSO. I thank all the partners, especially SSATP has been supporting us in terms of providing the secretariat and all logistics support to have these coordination meetings. Actually, even if we are progressing in terms of the ARSO, but we intend to maintain this team, because we find it as a workforce, as an added value for us to continue, monitoring whatever we are doing as ARSO. Consultative workshop, we selected and relevant stakeholders with African countries, including ministries of transport. This one I have already mentioned. All these stakeholders in the presentation by Duncan, the national data coordinators have the role to bring together all these, stakeholders within their national committees and be able to get all the information and provide and feed into the ARSO. Informal meeting of regional road safety observatories and a celebration of 7th UN Road Safety Week. On this one, I need to thank particularly ECA, which has taken the lead in terms of celebration of this UN Road Safety Week. And the members of the ARSO were able to contribute, bring in other stakeholders, and this week is something that where we take an opportunity to share with the world what Africa is doing on road safety, and also shape the way forward. So on the financing of the ARSO activities, as I said before, the African Union Commission has now taken the lead, and we are happy to have some of our African institutions like African Transport Policy Program, SSATP, being part of and parcel of this. And the last STC meeting actually recognized the work by SSATP and ECA in terms of supporting AUC into this. So we are happy to have some engagement with the SSATP on how we can support going forward the ARSO. Of course, we also have other partners like European Union under the European Union delegation to the African Union Commission, which already has a framework of collaboration. And we look forward to have a physical secretariat of ARSO because, as Chair Benasel mentioned, this has been working on an interim basis, but we look forward to have a physical secretariat established. Of course, AUC, our intention is to keep this team, these member states and the partners, to continue to be at the steering committee to make sure that whatever we did in the past, we just continue and have a kind of sustainable ARSO secretariat. But I also have to mention here that the Kingdom of Morocco in 2021, during the STC ministers meeting, has already expressed their initiative and their readiness to host ARSO as a fully fledged institution. And being here in Morocco, we could witness the capacity of Morocco to actually be able to host this kind of organization. So this is a discussion still going on within AU policy organs to be able to, first of all, have the Road Safety Charter enter into force, then proceed in discussion on the hosting of this ARSO on a longer term. But before we reach there, we need to have this physical secretariat supporting the work of ARSO. So as I said, AUC is working closely with SATP and ECA to have a joint action plan for the next 2-3 years of the ARSO, because we believe a long-term institution will need to have some time in terms of institutional establishment and making sure that we know the hosting agreement, which country is hosting it. So we believe that SSATP role in that interim phase will still be very critical. So, as I said, we have various development partners, but here, when we talk of development partners, and I think Duncan mentioned this, it is not only the financial institutions. We are looking at partners who can also provide information, technical expertise, bring in information into our road safety data reports, bring in expertise in the various pillars of the action plan, African Road Safety Action Plan, and bring in also, some best practices from other regions. Finally, as next steps, as I said, the ARSO by law has to be adopted, but it needs to wait for entry into force of the Road Safety Charter. We need to speed up the ratification of the Road Safety Charter, agree upon the final institutional framework and option for sustainable financing of ARSO. We need to develop a joint work plan that integrates initiatives by the various partners, avoiding duplication of efforts. And finally, we need to support the development of a baseline report for the African Road Safety Action Plan for the decade 2021-2030. On this last one, I need to emphasize what my colleague Duncan mentioned, that the report on Road Safety Action Plan in terms of the baseline has to build on the action plan on the work of ARSO from 2018 to 2022. building on the platform that WHO is already using, and then expanding it to make sure that we cover all the African states by adding a number of road safety data coordinators to bring in more information into it. And we cannot proceed with the action plan 2021-2030 without a comprehensive baseline report. So I believe in the next 2 years, this will be a critical action to be finalized, even with the support of now a physical RSO secretariat that we expect probably by next year, 2024. With this, I thank you very much, and we'll welcome some comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric, for this presentation, and you give us an overview of what we did and what we are expecting to do. I think ARSO can be a great support for African countries, mainly to improve the quality of data, and also to make some kind of technical assistance for collecting data, cleaning data, and also to identify and to improve the information system for collecting data. So that's what we are expecting. So I think now we are very close, and we hope that the 3 countries come very soon. And thank you again for remembering us that Morocco, the Kingdom of Morocco, express officially via AUC process, our candidacy to host this observatory. And thank you so much for telling us and what you mentioned about Morocco, the capacity of Morocco, to successful this project. We believe on it, on this project, and we are willing, to give our support, all kind of support, maybe to see this project implementing on the ground. So waiting for that, I cannot close this session before to invite the 2 main stakeholders for this project. First of all, I will invite my friend Hailey from ECCTP to say some words. And I want to thank you very much, Hailey, and to thank also Ibu. I just remember that they were willing, and they say it's okay from the beginning, maybe just to host and to organize this meeting. I had a call with my friend Ibu from World Bank, and he said, yeah, we are okay, we can sponsor and we can support this meeting. So thank you. On behalf of the steering committee, thank you so much, Hailey, and please, I give you the floor to say something.
Thank you, Benasser, and thank you the presenters, Duncan and Eric, for great presentation. Good morning, everyone. SSTP is committed to supporting ARSO. Shall I come there? Okay.
Much better.
When the boss orders, we just comply. So SSTP is committed to supporting ARSO, not because it's the African institution, but because road safety is important. It's not acceptable for us as Africans to see 600 people dying every single day on the continent. That's what the figure says. 600, it's 300,000 per year. It's too much to afford. So we can't continue with this kind of days every day, every single day. So we have to do something about it. So, and ARSO is one of the initiatives that helps to address the road safety challenges in the continent, particularly sharing information as a platform for learning, and most importantly, to keep reliable, important, and accurate data that will help policymakers make evidence-based decisions. One of the challenges we are having in Africa is that we have a very weak data collection system, and if we don't have data, it's very difficult for the policymakers really to come up with, even for the experts, a solution for the problem. To understand the problem, we need to see what's happening on the ground. And for that, we need accurate and reliable data. That's why you heard yesterday about the data challenges we are having. I think the experience of Uganda. There is always, in many African countries, a discrepancy between WHO data on deaths and fatalities and the country data. So because of the collection mechanisms and because of the various reasons. So SSTP is really committed to supporting ARSO. We have been supporting ARSO since its inception in 2018 with other development partners. Since then, we are working together and will continue working with ARSO and moving forward. I think, everyone since yesterday mentioning about the institutionalizing ARSO in the AUC, the Africa Union Commission. And for it to, for the ARSO to be institutionalized in the AUC as a special agency, first of all, the ministries, I think at a ministerial level, it's already accepted and agreed that ARSO will be a special institution within AUC. But for that to happen, as Eric mentioned and other presenters yesterday, at least 15 countries have to sign the African Road Safety Charter. When you see it, from just as a layman, yeah, most African countries have adopted the UN Decade of Actions, yeah. So the African Road Safety Charter is basically a derivative of that. That comes from that, and most of the African countries also have the road safety strategy. So you would ask that, what's the problem for the African countries to adopt the African Road Safety Charter? It's basically, it's in their strategy. The main goal is really how to reduce fatalities and serious injuries. All the other, whatever written is there, the objective is really to achieve these goals. And I'm sure, all 50 plus 3 countries agree on that. Then you would ask, then what's the problem then to rectify the African Road Safety Charter? It's just a political will. Now, since 2018, now we are in 2013, 5 years, we couldn't, or the AUC couldn't be able to get 15 countries signing that. So I think it's time to move on. We have reached like 12, 3 more countries. I am hoping that this year, well, not this, at least up to June or so, we'll be able to get these 3 countries and then properly move forward. So my request once again is to member countries to move forward and rectify the African Road Safety Charter. On the financing side, I think, Eric, you mentioned that EU is, I think, almost on board. There's discussion ongoing. ARSO is there. I think once the charter is signed and the ARSO is properly institutionalized in the AUC, I don't think that money will be a problem. Money is available out there for road safety. I don't see resources, money as a problem for road safety, really. Many of the African countries lose between 3 to 5% of their GDP because of road safety crashes and accidents. That's massive. We're talking about in billions and billions of dollars each country, literally each country, between $5-6 billion every year. So just 5% of that would be enough really to run ARSO. Just 1%, in fact. So money is not a problem, I think, once we get things right. Otherwise, I would like really to congratulate and thank you, the Interim Steering Committee, for keeping ARSO moving for the last 5 years. Thank you very much for your hard work and continuous support, and particularly Benasser as a chair and the leader of ARSO, bringing all the team together. In addition to what your responsibility here in Morocco, we have seen that, and I was impressed yesterday by the amount of work the NARSA has done. So on top of that, keeping the team together, leading in the last 5 years, that's a tremendous effort. Thank you very much for your support. So with this, I stop here, and I once again affirm SSTP's commitment to supporting ARSO. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Hailey, for your nice word, and it comes from the heart and it goes through to the heart. Thank you very much. And now I call my friend Robert Lesinge from ECA to give some few words about what they are, and I know they are supporting a lot ARSO, and I am sure they will continue on that way. Welcome, Robert.
Thank you, my friend, my brother Benacer, for championing, I think, first of all, Morocco hosting the Kofi Annan award. I remember in Accra, after the first award, we were discussing in the lobby of the hotel, and I said to Benacer that I think that Morocco should host the next one. And Benacer said he will see what to do. And I'm happy that today we are in Marrakech for the Kofi Annan award. And also thank you, Benacer, personally, for pushing ASO in the agenda of this award. It was not normally in the agenda, but you make sure that it happened. I remember in 2017 when the African Ministers of Transport, the STC, it was in Lomé, that they asked ECA and SSATP, working with the AU, to do a minimum set of road safety indicators. I think that is what evolved to ASO. I think Tawia is not here, but I think Tawia did an excellent job to put ASO into place. And I think Benacer has been chairing the steering committee since then. The importance of data to road safety management, I think, cannot be overemphasized. I think we cannot have evidence-based planning if we don't have accurate data. And I believe, or we all know, that we don't have accurate data in Africa. The difference between the data that our countries are presenting on road safety and what WHO is presenting, as far as high as 10 times. Sometimes we did some computation, it can be as the difference could be 2,000%. So what are we planning if we're not even sure of the data that we are using? This means that ASO is extremely important for Africa in road safety. And I think it's good that we have focal points for ASO. But if the data in the countries is not good, or the relevance of ASO is as good as the accuracy of the data that we have in our countries. And so we should, and that's why ECA is supporting countries that are trying to put in place good database on road safety, like we are working with Uganda, sometime with Cameroon, and other countries. I think it has been mentioned again that the African Road Safety Charter is key going forward for ASO. I think this is critical for institutionalizing the ASO at the African Union Commission. We need only 3 countries for ASO for the charter to go into full force. I think the good news is that we can have that right here in Marrakech, because I know some of the countries that are receiving award have not ratified yet, and they are here. So I've been talking to my country people, Cameroon, and I hope that before they leave here, they will make that decision to ratify. I know they are working on that, and I think that they will cross the line, hopefully. I know that Côte d'Ivoire is here. The minister is in Marrakech. So we should try to work with the minister, maybe have a discussion with Jean-Claude himself, that the minister should commit before going back to do that. I know Rwanda is here as well. So I think that we have the countries here that we can work with them to make sure that we cross the line. And finally, let me say that ASO would have an important role to play in the decade 2021-2030 to monitor and evaluate. ASO has to have a clear plan. I see that in the action plan, but I don't think, to be honest, that is sufficient. We are 3 years into the African Road Safety, or the decade, and the African Road Safety Action Plan, but we don't have a baseline. How are we going to measure progress in the midterm when we are still planning to have a baseline maybe next year? So the truth of the matter is, it looks like we are going to evaluate the second decade without baseline data, which is not very good. So I think that ASO should step up. We already is here to work with AU and ASO to start discussing as of today, what plan do we have to do the midterm review of the African Road Safety Action Plan? Because it's not acceptable that we're in 2023 and we are still talking about having a baseline. So we should discuss perhaps what would be the best approach to evaluate the midterm. But having said that, I think it's always a pleasure to be among the members of ASO, and let me again thank my brother, my friend Benasser, for making this happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robert, for raising this topic of accuracy of data in road safety. I think it's very important and a very big issue we have today in Africa. And when we see the huge difference between declarated data and official data we have in the global status report and with the estimated data, when we can see the difference, I mean, that means that ARSO is an urgent, issue, and we hope at least that before the next global road safety meeting we will have here in Marrakech in 2025, in February 2025, maybe until that we have time maybe to implement physically the secretariat of ARSO, and maybe we can have the opportunity maybe to schedule one session for ARSO in the next global road safety meeting will be held here in Marrakech in 2025. So before to close this session, I hope I don't know if there is some question to the members. Otherwise, we have to end this session, and then we will continue for internal meeting with the steering committee, and then we can see, we will meet each other at 3 p.m. for the closing ceremony, for the award ceremony. Is there any question? Est-ce qu'il y a une question par rapport à l'observatoire? Parce que je vais dire quelques mots peut-être en français par rapport aux partenaires. L'Observatoire africain de la sécurité routière, c'est un projet sur lequel on a travaillé depuis 2017, notamment qu'on a lancé, je dirais officiellement, à travers la déclaration de Marrakech en 2018. Alors parmi les exigences, il faut que, pour qu'on commence officiellement, il faut que 15 pays ratifient la charte africaine de la sécurité routière. Aujourd'hui, on est à 13 pays, 12 pays, pardon. On espère que le 13e est déjà engagé. Donc on est à 12 pays qui ont déjà ratifié, donc il nous manque 13 pays. Mon ami Robert et également Eric ont insisté sur le fait que de recevoir un prix sur la sécurité routière alors qu'on n'a pas ratifié encore à la charte africaine de la sécurité routière, sachant que le principe de la charte, c'est juste pour un engagement, c'est-à-dire solennel, pour améliorer la sécurité routière dans nos pays. Donc on espère que le Cameroun, qui n'a pas encore ratifié, qui va recevoir un prix, c'est le cas également pour la Côte d'Ivoire cet après-midi, et également je pense Ouganda, not yet, yeah, Kizito, not yet, ratified, no, ratified, ah good. Ok, donc on espère que les 3 pays, qu'on puisse avoir les 3 pays c'est-à-dire dans les prochains mois. On espère qu'avant la prochaine conférence mondiale sur la sécurité routière qui aura lieu à Marrakech en 2025, Donc d'ici là, le projet verra le jour. Je rappelle que le Maroc, il a présenté, soi-disant, sa candidature pour abriter l'Observatoire africain de la sécurité routière. En tout cas, il y a pas mal de choses qui ont été dites par mon ami Eric sur ce projet. Et en tout cas, le Maroc, je réitère notre engagement, c'est-à-dire du Maroc, parce que ça a été envoyé via les voies officielles. Et on espère que le projet verra le jour, Inch'Allah, et qu'on aura l'occasion de... On est sûr, ce qui est sûr, c'est qu'on va mettre les moyens qu'il faut pour réussir ce beau projet pour notre continent africain. Et comme j'ai dit, il n'y a aucune raison que les pays africains, les données qui sont publiées au niveau du continent, il y a une grande différence entre les données déclarées et les données estimées par l'OMS. Donc aujourd'hui, on a cette obligation, c'est-à-dire de rapprocher cette différence et de la rendre la plus réduite possible. En tout cas, je ne sais pas s'il y a une question parmi l'assistance, sinon on lève la séance pour le coffee break et on continuera dans une réunion un petit peu restreinte entre les membres. Ça veut dire que tout a été bien compris. Yeah, please go ahead. You want to say something? So, I invite Divine, please, to come here, and also Robert Placide, just to, and why not Awa, to have a photo for Awa, come, to have a photo for, yeah, that's what you need. Robert, please.